SASHET Chapin here. We've had some other interviews together. He's a good friend of mine and is a church planter in Brighton, Colorado, which is north of Denver. Talking about SASHET and how have you seen that tool helpful with some of the churches that you've started and are leading?
Very good. Yeah. Well, last summer, toward the end of the summer, I started doing SASHET just with one other person at a time and found it really transformational. And so when October came, we decided we're going to try two rhythms, and we decided we'd try to do a check-in time where we listen to each other on a heart level, and then we'd try to listen to the Lord together. And we're going to try to do this for a whole month. And so through October we did that. When November came, I was able to say, we've done a good job with SASHET checking in on a heart level, but we haven't done a real good job with our time of listening to God. And so I was wondering if we could try to do both, the listening on a heart level and listening to God again through November. That period ended up really solidifying that the SASHET and this check-in tool, this listening to our hearts, was going to be a thing that we just started doing in all of our house churches. It was really transformational in terms of bonding the group, really teaching the group how to listen to one another, how to ask questions from one another, how to start paying attention to our own hearts. And so it's really become the fundamental tool that leads us into our group time. We've started to have a conviction that really discipleship flows out of where our heart is. Jesus wants to speak into what's going on with us, and so it allows us to minister to each other in a really powerful way. So we have 11 house churches up in the north that are all doing this tool, and we're taking it around the country, and everywhere we go, just the message is the same, that this bonds a group really quickly, and that there's this really transformational power for each individual in learning how to listen to our heart, learn how to share that, listen to each other's heart, and then allow God to speak into our heart by listening to Him in that light.
So when you start a new house church, you've started a number of them, this would be one of the things you teach a house church to do when you first start out.
It's one of the first things that we teach,
yeah, because
it really gives the introduction of how do we listen to people. In our culture, we don't really know how to listen to each other. We know how to think about the thing that we're going to say next. We know how to get distracted really easily, but we don't know how to really engage and listen and get curious. Think about how we want to validate, and those are things that we really need. And so it's kind of the entryway where it's kind of a beginning. And then once we learn how to listen to each other, just using this tool, it doesn't take very long. Then we're able to kind of start building other components out of it. How do we think about listening to our history? How do we think about applying different parts of it? So
great. Thanks, Javi.
Yep.